This morning is a bit of a later start to my kind of everyday jobs. I've checked on the sheep but came back in again because we have had he works for our agronomists, he's kind of like a farm consultant, and we're really trying to get on top of all our farm costs. So we were kind of aware of them before, but I think more now than ever it's important to know exactly where you are with them. So that's down to knowing what price, for example, you brought your diesel at, how many acres you work to that machine to get that crop established, etc, etc. So we'll be going into quite a bit of detail, but as I said, it's more vital than ever to do that. You then have a good starting point of your level, and then you can really look to assess which areas you can improve on. So yeah, very important. It's been a slightly chillier morning, so I'm not too worried that I haven't got the sheep out as early as I would have done. As I said, I have been to check them, nothing lambing. I think we might have a slow week or so, maybe a bit longer. It was really, really hot when we put the tups out, so they didn't really work that much in the first week or two. Now, if you watched my last video, you would have seen these, one of these lambs be born. They are both very, very healthy and happy. They're drinking well, and as you can see, she goes, and hopefully she'll do a stretch. That's always a good sign. But yeah, very happy and healthy, full tummies, and she's been a very, very good mum. Eagle-eyed people will notice she's actually hasn't got any tags. Now you can see that she's had a poorly ear on that one, and she'll be getting re-tagged. Girls are ready to come out now. Oh, she's still sat down. There's a couple over there having a bit of a fight over something, who knows what, but yeah, ready to come out. It's a fairly nice morning now, quite cold to begin with, as I said, but nice morning now.
Here are the couple of sheep that are having a fight. Now obviously we'd rather they didn't do this when they're in lamb, but it's always going to happen. There's always going to be disagreements, so sometimes you just have to kind of let them get on with it.
Just look how settled they are now. If you saw lambs kind of laid out on their own, you may be concerned about them, but now they're just snuggled up, warm together, and very, very happy. I'm going to let her out into this pen for a leg stretch, and I'll get her a fodder beet as well. I have loads of people asking me about fodder beet and what they actually are. I describe it as kind of a sheep apple. It's hard, it's juicy. One of the sheep has already had a nibble on this one, so you can see that they have to kind of grind away with their teeth to eat it. They go crazy for them. I'm not quite sure what's going on over there. What you doing, Ralph? Must be something interesting. Oh, just to lie down now. Tired? Good lad. I'm getting my morning jobs done, so that entails hay racks filled, water filled, everything's turned out now before I head off to a regenerative farming kind of afternoon session. Now, I'm going to be really interested to see what they say, because regenerative farming obviously has kind of, had this big kind of push and big following in the last few years maybe. Now, what I worry about with regenerative farming is if it gets to the extreme, do we then forego food production? And is regenerative farming kind of just this fancy term, and this kind of following is reserved for people who basically can afford to do it? So that's one element when it gets to the extreme. But also, regenerative farming, is it not just good farming? Principles such as livestock, looking after the soil, long rotation, incorporating grass into the rotation, are things that we've been doing on our farm for many, many years, but I wouldn't see us as regenerative farmers. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what they say at this event, but also what you guys think.
And really we're kind of sort of looking at kind of how soil systems are organised, and that's a new paper that's just been written, quite an interesting one, but it kind of looks at soils in 3 different ways. Signs of life, so we saw worms this morning, a good indication of life. Signs of function, and I'll spend most of the time looking at the function aspect of soil, but infiltration will be one. And signs of complexity, things that are much harder to measure, their interactions, if you like, between plants and soil, all sit at the heart of many of the current challenges, whether we're looking at climate, food production, biodiversity, sustainability, global warming, carbon, and the question we're going to try and answer is how can we help crops help? One function they definitely provide in our system is infiltration rates.
Well, this is how some of my nights and early mornings will look. I'm just sat in the food trough, alright, I've got my head torch on at the ready, and I'm just watching and waiting. I've got a ewe which I'm convinced is lambing, so I'm just sat, well, apart from this video, sat quietly, just watching and waiting to see if she's showing any signs. She's been quite uneasy and was a bit uneasy a bit earlier in the evening. She's been quite vocal, so murmuring a lot, which is usually a bit of a sign, and it sounds silly, but there's different tones. And as I said, I sound stupid saying that, but if you've got sheep, you'll kind of know there's, you know, you can sometimes tell if they're missing the rest of the flock, or if they're lambing, or if they're just kind of making noises to their lambs. So her murmuring, I think, has sounded distinctly like lambing. She's got a little bag, but it looks very full, so hopefully she'll lamb this evening. Ewes only have 2 teats in their udder, so usually, depending on breed, there's kind of differences, but usually they can feed 2 successfully, and a third one may struggle a bit. Now, what often happens if you've got lots of sheep lambing at the same time, you'll be able to foster one of the triplets onto a ewe which has only had a single lamb. Therefore, your 4 lambs are split equally and they all thrive. It may be that we can foster one a little bit later down the line, and we have done that successfully, but the fresher the better, because if the lamb which you're fostering is older than the lamb from the mother you're fostering it onto, it can sometimes kind of bully the other newborn one out of the way. But there's lots of ways of doing that, and hopefully I'll get a chance to show you that at some point.
It's extremely windy this morning, and it's also raining. I'll be keeping the ewes to lamb inside until the weather fares up a bit. If a ewe were to lamb outside, it would be very difficult conditions for the lamb.
If you've watched my last couple of videos, you'll know that the sheep are in the fold yard temporarily. But now the lambing shed has been cleared of peas, so we'll be setting it up. And what we'll aim to do is get pens down the side, so attached to the walls, so there'll be individual lambing pens. And then we'll have maybe a couple of slightly larger pens for lambs which are ready to be out of the little pens, and then the ewes to lamb will spend their time in the main area of the shed on a night or days when the weather's really bad. We do have a slight problem with this shed at the moment. A set of doors at the far end working perfectly. This door, as you can see, it's dropped at the top, so we need to fix it because we can't open it. It only opens that wide. As you can see, it's kind of dropped and fallen on that bit there, and here is the problem up here. So we are going to fix it, and we've got some steel here ready to fix, and we'll get a neighbour to help us. He'll just give us an extra pair of hands to get it sorted and then ready to bring the sheep in. As you can see, on days like today when the rain is in this kind of direction, it does rain in a little bit, so there are days and nights when we will need to shut the doors up fully.
As always, if you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to my channel. My next episode, I will be doing a very quick roundup of llama and carrying on with what I got up to this week.